One of Engel's colleagues in the House includes Republican T.J. Shope. We also spoke to him about the budget and the dynamic between the two parties.
What do you like about this budget?
I think there's a lot to like personally. As many of your viewers know, at a local level, I'm also a school board member. The idea that we're following through on the 20 by 2020 plan, putting additional money into district assistance is something that the superintendent at Coolidge Unified, where I'm on the board at, was ecstatic about when I let her know. I think away from education, there's a lot to be happy about. I, like many of the folks that reside in Casa Grande and Coolidge, drive I-10 every day to work in the Phoenix area. And to have $10 million in the budget to begin a study that the Gila River Indian community has allowed us to do is significant, because if we can go ahead and finish that up and the federal government actually does an infrastructure bill that has been talked about over the next year or two, we may be able to see that project completed just like the Casa Grande to Tucson leg of I-10 was.
Given that you are a school board member, would you have liked to see a little bit more money headed toward education just to hold some of the teachers and the administrators over till the next year?
I think that what we are doing, so we did the first phase, we funded that. The second phase is funded in this. There'll be another phase next year. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we have to always prepare. This part of the rainy day proposal, obviously, is we have to go ahead and commit what we are comfortable committing to in any given year. So would I have liked to have gotten the 20 by 2020 plan done earlier? Sure, I'm sure all of us would have. But we're sticking to the plan and in many respects going above and beyond what the original plan even laid out with the additional resources we have.
One advocacy group I spoke with said we're cutting back on taxes way too much, making them permanent when we don't know what the future holds when it comes to revenues. Do you see it? Do you see that argument?
You know, one of the things, and I know that that's been brought up to me as well, and I think that it may be a bit of a common misconception of what we're doing on tax reform this year. When the President and Congress got the federal tax cuts through a year ago, 2 years ago, Arizona was, if not one of the last, but the last state to conform its tax code to that tax cut reform bill. So what we're doing here essentially is making sure that Arizonans don't experience a tax increase. Doing nothing at the state level and not conforming Arizona's tax code to the federal tax code would mean automatic tax increases for folks. So by doing this this thing that we're doing with conformity, it allows us to keep those issues the same. You know, essentially making sure that Arizonans don't experience that, and we get to go forward.
You've been here for a few years now. Let's talk climate, because we do hear in the legislature the Republicans don't want to work with the Democrats don't want to work with the Republicans. What's really happening behind closed doors?
What I always try to tell folks, and I know that this is easily glossed over because most of the issues that we do take on down here are truly not partisan. Upwards of 90% of the bills that we pass, if not unanimously, but with only maybe one or two dissenting votes on either side. So in many respects, there are a lot of things that we agree on a nonpartisan basis that are just simply the ideas of moving government along, keeping things functioning for our citizens. As far as other issues, look, we are a microcosm of the rest of the country in many respects, and it's always been that way. I do believe that maybe the fact that Arizona has moved into a type of swing state status, if you will, a purple-ish hue coming about, has maybe caused both sides to dig in their heels a little bit, thinking about the next election perhaps, instead of thinking about the here and now and what we can be doing for Arizona's residents right now. So I think all of us would do well to be a little bit introspective and think how that affects the way that we legislate, and how, probably even more important, the way we interact with each other, which is always probably one of the more important things for me.
TJ, thank you.
You bet.